All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the third ever TTB Ravens Media live with the viewers. Joshua's not going to be in this one today. He is in the process of moving currently. However, we've got some great guests. We're going to have a lot of fun. Why don't we go around just having everybody introduce themselves? We'll start with Steven, and then we'll just go top, bottom, that type of thing. But you want to introduce yourself, Steven?
Hey, I'm Steven. I'm from Baltimore. I now live in Nashville. Huge Ravens fan. Oh, and a LeBron fan because he's the GOAT. Right, Anthony?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know what this – I think this guy here, I don't know if you can read that. That says Jordan. He's the actual GOAT. He might have something to say about it. Anthony K from Sports Fluent. And since you're in Nashville, we'll get to this, right? My co-host, Hugh Jackson, is a new OC at Tennessee State University, which is close by. So we got to get you some tickets so you can go check them out.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Oh, looks like – are you here, Flock Block?
Yeah.
How you doing? You want to introduce yourself for everybody?
I think we got some internet issues on that side there.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'm Harrington, host of the Flock Block, big Ravens fan, live and breathe Ravens football, live in also Columbia, Maryland, 20 minutes outside Baltimore. You guys can follow me on Instagram at the Flock Block, and also you guys can follow me on Twitter and subscribe to the channel as well. I guess like everybody here loves the Ravens. I don't know about the whole LeBron
I have a feeling LeBron will be brought up during today's episode. So if anybody in the stream has never been in one of these streams, how it works is we go through, we talk about whatever you guys ask about. So if you guys ask about Ravens stuff, we'll talk about Ravens. If you guys ask about NBA, we're going to talk about NBA. If you ask about, I don't know, we're probably not going to talk about, I don't know, random political questions. But other than that, we'll probably be talking about it. So, sports related, pop culture related, we can definitely go over that type of thing. I'm sure we've at least got one person in here that's an expert on whatever you end up asking about. I see a great question from Firelion asking, can you do my math homework? Yes.
I can. I got, I don't know if you know, I'm an honors math student, but it does cost a lot if you want me to do it for you. I don't come cheap.
But that, depending on the math, I feel like we could collectively get it done.
Oh, yeah.
But
keep in mind, when I was in school, I was chiseling into stone, so it might be a different kind of math.
You're making the little sliding and that type of thing.
Yeah, we had a slide. Yeah, we did. We had those.
But we got a question from Fernando who asked, what are your takeaways from OTAs right now? I mean, I'll start off just with the Ravens OTAs. A lot of people showed up, which is very nice. But then also you just hear a lot about the coaching and things like that. The new coaches are seemingly doing very well. And that's really all you want to hear. T. Martin and Keith Williams, those are the guys, and they've just been absolutely balling out, working hard. If anybody's seen the different things on what is it? Mic'd Up. That's what the name is. I don't know why I couldn't remember that off the top of my head, but Mic'd Up, they sound amazing. They're very enthusiastic, much more enthusiastic than David Culley was. And that's just going to prove wonders for the Ravens, long term. So I don't know. Do either of you or any of you have any thoughts on kind of the Ravens OTAs? I will say Anthony is a Bears fan. So that's just for everybody to know. Anthony's a Bears fan, but he's a co-founder from Undrafted Sports and things like that. So he is the guest host, but he is a Bears fan. So unless we want to talk about whatever week we play the Bears, I can't even remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, the helmet in the back probably gave it away.
Yes, yeah. That's right. And the two hats.
I forgot about those.
Now everything makes sense. Chicago. There you go. I think OTAs, I feel like always seem – also, congrats. I'm excited for your team this year. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
Justin Fields looks pretty good, speaking of OTAs.
But I feel like Garrett Downing, Eisenberg, Ryan there's never a bad article about anything. It feels like everything's always so positive and good. Whether it's Perryman was going to be like, that I like to wait until I guess it shows up on the field,
Yeah.
Like it looks great, and like Bateman looks really solid, and I do love the coaching, like those little those 1 minute videos they do where they're mic'd up and everything. It's I'm hopeful. I'm just I don't want to get let down. I don't want my heart to be broken like last year.
So let me ask you guys a question then on OTAs, because Coach and I talked about. It's funny, I don't know if this most recent episode of the Coach and AK, we take one division every week and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive. And this week it was actually the AFC South, or the AFC North, excuse me.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about was players that are absent. Like, do you guys have any feeling like I think Marcus Peters and some others were absent? Do you guys,
so
any worry about those guys that aren't there? And then I have a wide receiver question because this also came up as well.
So the players absent off the top of my head, I know Marcus Peters is absent. Calais Campbell is absent. Then we have Brandon Williams, who's absent. Not Eli Wolf. Derek Wolf is absent.
Wolf, yeah.
We got a lot of absent players. However, they're all veterans. Brandon Williams, I don't know if I can remember a time he actually showed up to OTAs. He's just an older veteran. He doesn't feel like he needs to really show up to that. But overall, I'm not worried about the veterans that miss. It's when the younger players, if somebody, which we don't have. I know Marlon Humphrey has missed a couple of days, but he was there initially. I'm okay with it as long as the core young players are there, whereas the old veterans, especially the 330-pound old veterans, I don't feel like they have to be there. I'm not too worried about it, but
so the other thing we talked about was obviously wide receiver. So do you have enough at wide receiver? Should they be going in for Julio Jones? Coach thought, Lamar Jackson needs a guy like who doesn't need a guy like Julio Jones? Let's be honest. But he, when I asked him which team would make the most sense for Julio Jones, he was right away said the Ravens. I'm assuming there's no objection there because I see you guys nodding your heads, but.
We need Julio. I mean, Julio, I think we could win without Julio, but Julio Jones would transcend the passing game, and not just helping out the passing game, but he would help out the run game so much because you would have to legitimately worry every play about the pass. So I know some people don't want us to get Julio because the price might be too high, but if we're sending a second-round pick, absolutely trade for Julio. I would even send a first-round pick. That's not what I'm worried about. It's just about getting the money to work.
It's easy. I feel like, okay, and tell me if I'm wrong, and maybe this is a pessimistic viewpoint of looking at it. Lamar Jackson, obviously his passing, we hope it improve. I'm not saying he's a bad passer because he's a good passer, right? But the other thing that makes him great is that defenses have to take into account that he can also run. So the older Lamar gets, I feel like, and the less his legs are working, our Super Bowl window is going to close year by year. So right now, while he's still doing Lamar-y things, you need to jump and take full advantage of that. So get whatever you need to get Julio there. Because either we run it down your throat or we throw it down your throat, if that makes sense. And I just feel yes, I'm an armchair GM, but I wish Eric DaCosta would call me and we could talk about it.
Right, because to your point, right, like I said, everybody needs a Julio, but if you figure Sammy Watkins is not going to play every game, let's just be honest, right? But so if you have Brown, Julio, and Watkins, now you got to respect the pass, right, which opens up the run, and then that just adds another dimension to it. Because right now, and I'm not knocking Brown. I know you guys are probably eyeing him. I think everyone shaked yes when I said Watkins isn't going to play every game, so it's suspect, right? You're like, hey, maybe we can load up the box a little bit, and try to limit like they did last year. Because NFL defenses, they saw him in his first year, he went crazy. Not that last year was bad, but they did some things to kind of limit what he could do with his legs. But now you add in another piece at wide receiver. Well, now you got to respect him. You can't load up the box anymore. So I think that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just one of those things where the Ravens spend I believe they have the least spending or one of the least amount of spending on their offense. in terms of just the entire NFL. And yes, they will be spending a lot more when they have to give Lamar his contract as well as Mark Andrews. But right now, the only player that they're really paying good money is Ronnie Stanley, who's their left tackle. You got to pay your left tackle, but they're not paying any money to their wide receivers. Their highest paid wide receiver is Sammy Watkins. He's making like $5 million. Everybody else is on rookie deals. And then you look at their tight ends. Nick Boyle, I think, is their highest paid tight end, who's making probably about $5 million. Overall, it's just not – we got to spend a little bit. You can't just go in with only minimum deals and try to win a Super Bowl on offense. Even though the young players may be great, you got to have that leadership. You got to have a veteran presence. And having a veteran presence like Julio Jones, who's one of the best wide receivers of all time and certainly of the last decade, you got to take that opportunity, especially when he is on a 3-year deal. If it was a 1-year deal where he would just leave after next year, I would show concern. However, I'm not worried about it because he's going to be there for 3 years. So that's my take on Julio. I mean, I think most Ravens fans are on board with Julio. I know other people want other things like Justin Houston or I don't know, some sort of edge rusher. But for me, Julio's got to be. You got to make some offers. Got to make the calls. But let's see here. We got a question from the man. This is AJ. AJ's been on the channel. Uh-oh. We got some internet issues again, unfortunately. But we can talk about this question while we wait for the internet to get back. This one's from AJ.
From AJ on Schroeder?
Yes. AJ asking about Schroeder. And people in the stream, they know who AJ is. If they've seen any of the Chiefs videos that we've done on the channel, AJ comes on, big Chiefs fan. But he asked about Schroeder on the Lakers, and it's rough stuff. As a Thunder fan, I like Schroeder, but I know Anthony is a Lakers fan. What do you think, Anthony?
I think they got what I thought they were going to get. And here's what I mean. If you look at him throughout his career, he was about a 33% three-point shooter. He had one big season last year where he shot 38 point something, and everyone was all excited. And I said, guys, that was a one-time thing. I look at longevity. Everybody has a good game, a good season, or whatever. People can do that. He's going to – if you expect him to shoot that 38 kind of percent again, you're sadly mistaken. And the one thing about LeBron – the older he gets, and always, let's be honest, if he has shooters around him, your team's going to be fantastic. They're going to go deep into the playoffs. If he doesn't have shooters around him, they struggle. And I said, you're going to get a 33%, shooter out of Schroeder. He's going to be inconsistent. You're going to love him sometimes. You're going to hate him. And that's exactly what they got. So I'm not surprised. I'm more surprised that people are surprised that that's what they got from him, because that's what he is. And I know Steve's going to probably want to argue with me on this point, but the fact of the matter is when LeBron goes to a team, the team gets better. Each individual player, though, statistically actually gets worse, right? And it's because he's very ball dominant, which works obviously for the team. So they get less touches. So again, if you look at his attempts, they went down a little bit. His time kind of handling the ball's gone down a little bit, even though he was considered the point guard. He's not. Let's be honest. LeBron the offense runs through him, which is okay because it's worked for 18 years. But you saw his field goal attempts went down. His three-point shooting was where it had been for his whole entire career. So I think don't be mad because you got exactly the player that he is.
Yeah. I love Schroeder, but I didn't want him on OKC. He is somebody who is wildly inconsistent because he is either the hottest player on the floor or the coldest. It seems like he never has. And maybe it's even not for a full game. It's quarter based. He'll have an insane quarter. He'll drop 15 or 20 points in a quarter. And then he'll go 0 for 8 in every other quarter. And you'll lose the game. And it's like, what the heck, Schroeder? Or he'll bring you back into the game. But he's so inconsistent. And with LeBron, you need consistency. You just got to have a guy that can come out and knock down your shots.
It's
Schroeder
actually
is not that guy.
It's funny because I'm going way back now. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think there's definitely a delay.
Yeah.
in terms of controlling and seeing the floor. Yeah, in terms of controlling and seeing the floor, they need someone that's more ball dominant. You talked a lot about Dennis Schroeder's shooting woes. You saw that in games in the last game they played against Phoenix.
Yeah.
When you're watching that, it's just the Lakers need a guy, not even like on a superstar caliber level, but somebody else who's, I guess, willing to take more of a scoring load outside of LeBron and outside of Anthony Davis. And sometimes, like you said, they don't get that from Dennis Schroeder. So for me, Dennis Schroeder hasn't been disappointing this season. If you look at the Lakers and what they've been able to do, but in games like that, when you need him to play against the Clippers or the Suns or the Utah Jazz, he needs to be there. And we saw what type of player he was during the season when Anthony Davis wasn't able to play. So I think, that's how I look at Dennis Schroeder. And I know he's probably going to back this season, but, I mean, you guys are right. Like, the Lakers got the player that they wanted. He's never been the greatest shooter, and he had a really good season last year, but not entirely sure if he can be the guy in the long term if something happens to Anthony Davis or LeBron James, because it will happen.
Yep.
I mean, we saw it happen to AD every game. Every game, somehow AD, even in the bubble, AD, every game, he wouldn't leave the game for the whole game, but AD gets hurt. I don't know why, but he is the guy from SpongeBob, born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning, he wakes up, he breaks his arms. Every night, before he goes to sleep, he breaks his legs. That's AD right there, and it's very unfortunate. I absolutely love Anthony Davis, but I wouldn't want him on my team just because he's a liability because he never plays, and it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, Schroeder's inconsistent with his play, right? And Anthony Davis is inconsistent with his play, like his availability. So by definition, his play. The last thing I was going to say on Schroeder was he's a nice piece. Like I think he's a good sixth man because he's inconsistent. Six men are there. It's okay if your six man's inconsistent because when they're hot, you put them in and you run with them. When they're not, you just sit them down, right? Whereas Schroeder, they relied on him, and you can't rely on inconsistent players or shooters, and especially the way LeBron plays. That's why I was surprised. I was going to say I went back to even if you look at Miami, I was really surprised, right? Because Dwayne Wade or Bosh, they're not really 3-point shooters. That's why they brought in like a Ray Allen and I think Mike Miller, right? Because those are guys. That's why. Listen, I know it won't happen. I'm dreaming, right? Unicorns, rainbows, and all that stuff, right? But if LeBron pairs with let's say Steph Curry, maybe it should have been a few years ago. That's the type of if you're going to pair two superstars, that's the kind of superstars you pair because LeBron being ball dominant, and what's the best thing about Curry? Off the ball, the dude is slippery. Like you hate playing against him. Like you want to punch him in the knee, the way he slides through screens and stuff, right? And then he's consistent. He's going to hit those shots, right? So it doesn't even matter the other three guys you put around them, defense and rebound, and those two guys will handle it. You're good, and that would be kind of the utopian kind of pairing that he hasn't been able to get.
True.
Yeah. We got another basketball question in here. This one's from KJ. Says, since we were talking basketball, do you think Dame stays in Portland or he is gone? Well, as somebody from Portland, I honestly do think he will stay in Portland. I think that for Damian Lillard, it's just about he wants to be true to himself. He's not somebody who will sell out. I just don't expect that from what I've seen from him, not just in his basketball, but overall what he does off the court in Portland. He means so much to that city. I mean, I don't know what Portland would do if they lost Damian Lillard. I mean, as an OKC fan, I would love it. I would love for Dame to leave. But overall, I just think that he is absolutely the lifeblood of really that franchise ever since Brandon Roy, unfortunately, was not able to pan out due to injuries. And for him, typically when a superstar leaves later in their career, not like Dame's super old or anything like that, but he's getting up there. If they typically go home, you look at LeBron, he went to, Cleveland, and then he was like, all right, I want to live in LA for the rest of my life, probably. And so he went out to LA. You look at Dwayne Wade, he went to Chicago. You look at, I don't know. I can't think of another guy off the top of my head, but guys like to go home. Dame's from Oakland. And technically, Oakland doesn't have a team anymore, but it would be Golden State. And I don't think Damian Lillard wants to sit in the backseat to Steph Curry. And I definitely don't think Steph Curry is leaving Golden State. So for me, I just don't think he's going to leave because I don't think there's a free agent option where he's like, yeah, I want to take my life and move there. Because unless he wants to go home to Oakland, I don't think he's going anywhere because he's not going to back up Steph Curry. That's not in Steph Curry's plans or Dame's plans.
I do feel like he is a Blazer. Like he is Portland. He encompasses. He's like J.J. Watt was to the Texans, except if they make a couple certain moves, I feel like they could potentially make that step and leap to where they want. So it's not that far out of reach. And I feel like he takes pride that he's in a smaller market and carries the team. Like I just think it would be for him. He seems more like that kind of pride and worth in like, if I do it here, this is my legacy, is what I do in Portland, not chasing like these other guys, even my boy LeBron. I feel like he looks at that as weak boy crap. Does that make sense? That's just like the vibe. Like, not that I talked to.
Yeah. He said it. No, the thing is, Dame has come out, right? And he said that multiple times. I'm not about going to another team and teaming up with players. No. So unless he just gets to the point where, and I would understand it, where he said, enough is enough. I've put my heart and soul into this. Now I want to go somewhere and play with someone else because the pieces haven't been here. But look, the three best things about Portland, and you probably know this because you said you're from there, is Voodoo Donuts, Buster's Briskets, and Dame Lillard, right? Those are the three best things about Portland. And so I don't see him leaving, but it's a great story for everyone to talk about now, right? Because it's playoff failure after playoff failure. That's not, look, I'm not putting it on Dame, right? It's on the team. And so, yeah, of course, you're going to talk about it. Where is he going to go? You're right. Is he going to go to Golden State? No. Sacramento, right? Yeah, okay, they're 45 minutes, an hour away from Oakland, so maybe. When I used to live there, if I recall, that's about how long it took me. So it's not, but would he go to Sacramento? No one goes to Sacramento unless, you get drafted there and then you try to get out as fast as you can. So really, what other choice does he have? And it's too bad because in 10 years, 15 years from now, we're going to look at Dame, or some, kids are going to look at Dame and say, yeah, he was a good player that just never did anything. But the reality is he's a great superstar player who just didn't, let's be honest, who didn't win a championship. Because it's probably not going to happen in Portland.
And not everybody wins. And Russell Westbrook talked about it this year when Stephen A, for some reason, was like, I'm going to become the biggest Russell Westbrook hater of all time. And Westbrook was like, what do you mean? I am a champion. Nobody expected me to get to the NBA. Nobody expected me to do anything in the NBA. He didn't have any offers other than UCLA coming out of high school. Damian Lillard obviously went to Weber State. Nobody expected him to do anything, but Westbrook, I think, is very similar to Dame, and I don't think either will have a championship. They're going to be, remembered players. They're great players, but overall, they far surpassed what anybody ever thought they'd be able to do, and they're going to give it their all. But if it doesn't work for them, and I think people may look at Westbrook like, oh, he left, and it was like, no, because OKC asked him, and they said, we can't try and compete for a championship anymore. Where do you want to go? And he was like, let's team up, let's go to my buddy Harden. And then unfortunately, Harden and Westbrook were like, this team sucks. We got to get out of here. And so they both left. And Westbrook doesn't want to jump around places. He just unfortunately keeps getting put in situations where teams are trying to rebuild, and he just has to go somewhere where he wants to compete. But he's not going to sell out, and he's not going to go try and, he's not going to join the Nets, even though I would love for him to join the Nets and get the Westbrook Harden Durant championship I've been looking for. But
as you're talking, I'm starting to think I may never refer to OKC as OKC anymore. I might just forever call them the Seattle Supersonics and just stick to that. However, if they would have kept, if they would have kept Westbrook, Harden, and KD, they would have had a championship, if not more, by now, right? I think it was really petty of the franchise what they did. I think they needed to pay the money and keep them. I get it. No one's going to argue with that point. Westbrook and Dame, if I can relate it to someone else, I think they're going to go down in history, and you're going to look at them like Steve Nash. I think that's kind of what you're going to see them as, because they're just I think they've been Westbrook has never been in a situation that made sense for him except OKC. And how often are you going to find a situation like that where you have, if you think about it, they drafted 3 years in a row 3 MVPs, right? Just think about that.
Well, they're going to repeat that.
Right.
It's going to be like Jordan. It's just like Jordan Sampresti going to repeat the 3x3 consecutive MVPs with, the next 20 first-round picks that he has.
Well, they've got, I was going to say, they got like 50 first-round picks, so that they better.
Yeah. We're getting all of them in one draft because we got like 4 picks in every draft for the next 500 years. But looking at, I got to scroll. There's a lot of questions in the chat, but if anybody wants to ask a question, obviously ask it in the chat. I see this one. This one's relating to Mark Andrews, and it's asking, what should we expect Mark Andrews' contract to be averaged at for how many years? And should we make the deal this offseason or wait? For me personally, I think that we should wait. We have to get Lamar first. Lamar is so much more important than Mark Andrews. And I do not want to become the Dallas Cowboys where they decided to give the contracts to their running back and wide receiver before their quarterback. And then the quarterback wanted a ton of money. And then, oh my goodness, they paid Dak a ton of money. And shout out to Dak. He got his money. Good for him. But we got to pay Lamar first. So I say wait on Mark Andrews. And I would say pay Mark Andrews $10 million a year. That would be probably the maximum I want to pay him. And I would say a 4-year, $40 million deal is what I'd want with, I don't know, maybe $30 million guaranteed. It's just, for me, Mark Andrews is not as important to the Ravens as I think a lot of people think he is, because yes, he's a great pass catcher, but you can find a great pass catching tight end in plenty of drafts. And unfortunately, he's probably going to want I don't want to have another Austin Hooper situation where the Browns signed Austin Hooper for the record-breaking deal, and it's like, he's not the best tight end. Maybe you pay Kelsey and Kittle that much money because they are going to do absolute wonders for your team. But Andrews is like, he's a really good pass-catching tight end, but you can find that in the draft. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the situation. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I'll put this out to you. Here's the tight ends making $10 million or more, and tell me where you know him better than I do. Where do you think Mark Andrews fits? So at 10.5 is Austin Hooper. Then you got Janu Smith at 12.5, and Hunter Henry at 12.5. Kelsey at 14, Kittle at 15 a year. Is he better than any of those guys?
He's better than Jonnu. He's better than Hunter Henry. However, I just think the tight end position is overpaid.
I agree. But if they're at 12.5 and you agree he's probably better, he's probably going to look at that 13, maybe right below Kittle and Kelsey. Yeah, but that's the kind of money he's probably looking for, right?
Yeah, I think he's the third best. And I feel like we do a good job at drafting tight ends and realizing talent, except for when it comes to Darren Waller and letting him, because I feel like he blossomed over there by the Raiders. But my thing is, and I feel like we're very good at saying this is like a Hayden Hurst is a different tight end compared to like Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. I feel like we're really good about I mean Ravens front office. That's we. But yeah, that's we. We're in it. They ask us what we think, and yeah, I think I'm hoping both of them are like, we win the Super Bowl. They're like, you want to run it back like Tampa, and then they both take friendly but great deals for them, and then that's it.
Yeah, I kind of do agree with the. No,
you're back. Good. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Wi-Fi was messing up and everything. It was a mess, but no. I kind of do agree with as far as where Mark Andrews is ranked amongst best tight ends in the league. Of course, you have George Kittle and what he does for San Francisco, and then Kyle Shanahan's offense. Of course, you got Travis Kelce, probably one of the best pass-catching tight ends I've seen in a long time. I would put Waller a little bit ahead of Mark Andrews, just from a pass-catching standpoint, his versatility and his athleticism. We even heard John Harbaugh and former previous offensive coordinators talk about his athleticism too. And he's doing so well for the Raiders right now. I would put Andrews right below those three guys, just from a playmaking standpoint. I don't know if you guys take a look at Pro Football Focus and where they had their tight end rankings. I did a video on that. It was pretty crazy.
Low.
He was pretty low. Yeah, I think he had like Kyle Pitts ahead of him and Dallas Goedert of the Eagles. But I think as far as his contract, I do think that his value towards the Ravens is pretty high. I know he's probably not the best blocking tight end on the team. Of course, Nick Boyle is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. I do think that his value is pretty high. I still think even with all the additions we made at wide receiver with Rashad Bateman and Sammy Watkins and Tylan Wallace, you're still going to expect Mark Andrews to have those high reception totals and those high, a lot of his production, a lot of his big playmaking is going to come in through in the red zone. So I don't know what the number value is in terms of what I think his contract is going to be, but I do think he's going to be one of those players that when it's time for him to get paid, he's going to be prioritized. And I think that they kind of factor into some of the signings we made this offseason is that Eric DeCosta is thinking long-term about Lamar and Mark Andrews and so on and so forth.
I think that's definitely fair. But let's transition into the next question that I see. This one's from Pat the Goat. I guess people are kind of liking our NBA talk. But Pat the Goat asks, who do you think is the most overrated NBA player? Y'all don't want to.
Don't do it.
I'm not saying LeBron. I do think LeBron is overrated at this point.
I'm not going to say him either, but I don't know if Pat was on Sports Fluent because I did a whole YouTube thing on who's the most overrated point guard ever. And I guess
I think this is current. This is current rankings,
okay.
not all-time rankings. Overrated.
Go first. Go ahead.
For me, I made a video on this. I don't know if I still believe he's the most overrated. I got the like to dislike ratio on this video. This wasn't on this channel for anybody that's curious. It was I think in the first hour or 2 hours, there were about 200 dislikes on the video, and this was. My other channel does not get that type of view. I mean, it doesn't even get 200 views a video. And all of a sudden, we were talking about Luka Doncic. Now, obviously, right now, it's very difficult to say Luka Doncic. This was at the very beginning of the season.
Okay.
However, I do think Luka Doncic, I do think LeBron are both overrated currently. I think LeBron right now, I think people still see him as the best player in the NBA. I don't think he's there anymore. I think he's in that kind of 5 to 7 range now, just from what we've seen recently. And maybe he was playing injured. That could be a possibility. I don't want to take anything away from LeBron. He could become, that better guy next year. But even Luka, I think Luka's in that top 10 range, but people are already saying he's the best player in the NBA. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think he deserves to be in that conversation. And saying somebody's overrated doesn't mean you think they're bad. It just means that people rate them higher than what they should be. And he is not in the Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, honestly, LeBron James level of play yet. And he could absolutely become the best player in the league. And I'm not saying that he won't. But as of right now, he isn't the best player. And he gets talked about like he should be. But he isn't. And so that's my answer. Yeah. I'm sticking with it. People hate that take. I mean, almost all the comments were people from Europe with names I absolutely couldn't pronounce. So I don't know how that video was circulating over there. But maybe I'm just on posters where's Luka from? He's not from Latvia. Is he from
Slovenia?
Serbia? I can't remember.
I think Slovenia.
Slovenia. Maybe they just got my poster up there, and it's just
it's all over Europe. Actually, it's all over.
Might be all over Europe.
I did it though, mind you. So that's why I know it's everywhere.
I'm gonna try and fly there, and I'm on the no-fly list to Europe. They're just I'm sorry, sir. You made that Luka video. You're done. You got to go somewhere else. You can't go there. But
I don't know about that Luka one. I mean, I do think Luka. I was thinking about the top 5 list today too. I would definitely probably have Luka in my top 5. I don't know why, but people seem to forget that Kevin Durant's still playing in the league. I think Kevin Durant's the best player in the NBA. I think from a scoring standpoint, I think from just his ability to just get a bucket, carry his team. Defensively, he's not the greatest, but you do have to talk about that size and that wingspan. He's been there, he's done that. We saw that even though he probably wasn't the most liked player on the Warriors, he was not by far, but he was clearly the best player on that Warriors team when he went to Golden State. I think he's been the best player in the NBA for like the past 2-3 years. If we're going to talk about overrated player, when I look at someone that's overrated, I look at, somebody that people value them more than they deserve. I think it's Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry is the most overrated player in the NBA. Like people in Toronto have this like idea that he should be the type of player that. Oh man, I didn't even see that.
Oh, we're gonna have words. You've never watched him play. All right, let's keep going.
No, I think that I don't think he's the type of person to be the best player on a team.
No.
I don't think so. I think that he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a scrub. I just think that when you talk about best point guards in the NBA, when you talk about guys that can I feel like he's more of a player that can control a system. Like with Nick Nurse, you guys have a great head coach with Nick Nurse, and if you put him in a system with Popovich or Budenholzer or a guy like that, he'll fit well into that system. But to be the guy, I don't see that.
But I don't think anyone thinks he's the guy. And it's funny that you said it because I think he's underrated because no one ever puts him in the conversation of best point guard, and yet, Chris Paul this season. Everyone talks about Chris Paul this season. What a great job he's done in Phoenix, right? Oh, they were garbage before. Everyone forgets they were 8-0 in the bubble. I know it's the bubble, but statistically, right? They're like, oh, look at what a great job Chris Paul did. MVP. We should talk about him as an MVP. Last year, Kyle Lowry, and no one talked about Kyle Lowry. That's why I think he's actually underrated. Last year, statistically, he had the same, if not a little bit better season than Chris Paul. He lost Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, clearly the best player on the team, Kawhi Leonard, and a starter in Danny Green. And the team won more games. And who led that team? Who was the kind of floor general of that team? It was Kyle Lowry. Not one person, nor should they, not one person said MVP. Again, nor should they. But here's a guy who put up the same, if not better numbers than Chris Paul, took a team that was supposed to be in the lottery because they lost 2 starters and obviously their best player coming off a championship. And they won more games than the year before with Kawhi Leonard. And then this year, let's be honest, they played 72 road games, right? They were being booed in Tampa Bay. They were being booed in Tampa Bay, and he still had a good – so I think he's not a superstar point guard, but I actually think he's underrated because when you watch what he does, it doesn't come up on the stats. Like he'll take a charge from anybody, right? He will make that play. And for a guy that was considered, a problem in the locker room, a difficult guy to deal with, I think he's actually underrated. Again, unless someone's saying he's a superstar top-tier point guard, then your point is correct because he's not. But I think he's a solid starter on a championship team where he's kind of option 3. I want him. If he was on the Lakers this year, if they were to give up, what is it, THH or THT or TNT, whatever that damn right? They didn't want to give him up. Are you crazy? That's exactly the player you need, a guy who can knock down open threes and play defense and get the ball to people where they need it. That's exactly what the Lakers needed this year, and it's a shame that they didn't make that trip. Now, granted, I'm a Laker fan living in Toronto, so I'm biased on both of those fronts. But then, to the overrated part, I guess it depends on where you rank people, right? Like you'd need to see, hey, here's the 10 because it depends. Like overrated is what do you rank them? LeBron James. Is LeBron James overrated? Well, yeah, if you think he's still head and shoulders the best player in the NBA, well, then, yeah, that's overrated because he's not. Is he still top 2-3 player in the NBA at this point with the injuries and everything? Yeah, which is still amazing, right? He's a top 3 player at 36 with an injury. But is he head and shoulders above everybody else? No. Draymond Green, super overrated, Mr. Triple Single. Today, again, we're talking about today, not career. So there's a lot of players that I think, I was looking at a list and I don't disagree with it. Like I'm looking at a list, it's like Draymond Green. Yeah, I agree. Kyrie Irving. Yeah, I probably agree. Andrew Wiggins, Tobias Harris. There's a bunch of names, but it's all based on, where you rank them.
No.
Yeah, I do. I think,
You know what I mean?
you're definitely making some valid points. Like the thing I like the most about basketball is that, and it's one of the few sports where there are a lot of things that provides value to a team that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, and you definitely make a good point about that. That's one thing I do admire about Kyle Lowry is that he does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet that is beneficial towards their team. Now, another thing that I took away from what you said was
he's got the best butt in basketball. You got to throw that out there because everyone in Toronto, that's all they talk about.
Really?
Dude, you don't even know the memes. The memes about that.
Yes.
The Toronto memes are Kyle Lowry's butt.
Yeah.
I love people to know.
no, me and my friends joke about that too. He's I don't know. Yeah, that
He's a Kardashian.
yeah, I don't know about that, but you know, he's got some size on him. He's got some size on him, but
It's the poutine, baby. That gravy and cheese just gets you every time.
but yeah, he if I'm the Lakers, they definitely had a chance. I don't know if his contract expires or is already expired heading into this off season. I know there were trade talks, towards the trade deadline in the middle of the season. Taylor Horton-Tucker would have provided a lot of value towards the Toronto Raptors. A trade package that I thought of, and this is just probably like a mock trade package. I know the Lakers, would I try to do something with Kyle Kuzma or Taylor Horton-Tucker this offseason to try to give them go out and get another playmaker to provide more of a spark offensively. And before my Wi-Fi started acting a fool in the middle of the stream, I talked a lot about Dennis Schroeder and how he wasn't carrying the scoring load. Do you think that the Lakers should really try to move some of these younger guys to get a veteran in that can provide more of a scoring load to help take the load off of LeBron and AD?
It's always tough, right? Because when you look at it from – I'm not the GM of the team. So when I look at the team, I look at the now. And the now is you've got, 2 years left of LeBron? Maybe. Yeah. Let's call it 2. And you want to win. You want to win. You wanted to win last year, which you did. You want to win this year, and then maybe 1 or 2 more, and then you got to retool. So yeah, as a fan, I'd say clear it out. Do what you got to do. Get win now mode. As if you hire me and I'm Rob Pelinka, and it's like, hey, you got to think of 10 years. Then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to trade some of my young guys because I do need to have a team that can win a championship. But I can't mortgage the farm because I want a job in 5 years from now, which if I do that, unless he sits down with Jeannie Buss and everybody else and says, hey, I'm going to sell off everybody to make this team, the top 3, 4, 5, like really top heavy so we can win a ring. And then just understand after that, we're going to suck for 3 years and maybe retool and see what happens. If they all buy in, yeah, you do it, right? Like I think even Miami, as another example, they had a package together for Kyle Lowry, which would have helped them as well this season, right? I think they would have probably, maybe they don't get out of the first round still, but but they wouldn't give up Tyler Hero. How'd that work out? You know what I mean? So it's tough with those young guys because, if they pan out, it's great. I think someone did one. I forget who it was. I saw a video where he was talking about what the Lakers would have looked like if they didn't trade away all their players. And they said, okay, so you wouldn't have AD, but you'd have LeBron, Lonzo Ball with a fixed jump shot, Brandon Ingram, Jordan Clarkson, and they went down the list of the players and they're like, that's actually a better squad. That's a better team. It's like, but how do you know, right? At the time, they all look like who knows what's going to happen with them. So I've always been a big guy on, hey, I'll trade away a draft pick to the point back to the Ravens. I'll trade away my first round pick for Julio Jones because I don't know what I'm going to get in the first round. There's just as many busts as there are stars. So why not take a guy that I know is a star that can help me win today?
Get a guarantee.
Yeah, especially top 3, especially guaranteed star.
Yeah, because just remember, what is that first round pick going to be? It's going to be pick 31 or 32, right? That's why you're making the trade.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 20, like late 20s range.
Oh, no, you're hoping it's 32, right? Because you won the Super Bowl, and it's 32. That's your goal. Yeah. So yeah, would you trade away 32 for Julio? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Eric DaCosta.
Yes, we need Eric DaCosta to show up to the stream so then we can tell him how to do his job. But because obviously way more than him
love that.
about all that stuff. But for anybody in the chat, make sure to ask us some questions. Then we can obviously talk about it. It doesn't have to be about basketball. I'm gonna scroll through. I see we got the legend. We've got T. Higgins, the GOAT, in the stream, the ultimate troll, the anti-Raven. But I'm assuming T. Higgins, the GOAT, is a definite Cleveland fan.
No, it's the
Bengals.
Bengals. I see
Higgins
Bengals now.
Oh, well,
Yeah, he's
I'm
on the
still,
Bengals.
I mean in terms of basketball. I mean in terms of the
Oh.
Caps. So I'm assuming he's also a big Braun fan. So he's probably, all that stuff. I see him saying, LeBron said he's playing until he gets another ring. LeBron's playing until he, I don't know, can't walk anymore, I guess.
Let's be honest. LeBron is playing until he can play one season with his son.
Exactly.
Right?
On OKC.
I know.
That's why we got those picks. It's the ultimate plan. It's foolproof.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving LA. He went there for life after basketball, right? The production company, the media empire. That's why he's in LA. He's not, for everything that I say negative about LeBron, and I say a lot, he knows what he's doing. He knows, the message he's putting out there. He's very calculated. Like even the thing when, taking my talents to South Beach, that was a very calculated, thought out. Look, it went over horribly, but that was planned out on purpose. And trust me, he's in LA because he knows whatever ends, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, once I finish, I want to be part of this. He wants to be like Magic, right? Where Magic then became kind of part of the Lakers organization, part of the Dodgers. And I know who did he buy into?
Dwayne Wade or LeBron?
No, LeBron. Didn't he buy into a team? I feel like he bought into Boston, the Red Sox, right?
Red Sox.
Bought into the Red Sox. Yeah, trust me, he's very focused on life after basketball as well, which is smart.
I think he just wants the photo like him and Dwayne Wade throwing him the alley-oop, and Dwayne Wade's like this with his son.
Hold on. Time out. That wasn't I hate when people say it. It wasn't an alley-oop. It was a bounce pass.
Backwards pass.
It was a
Backwards bounce pass, yes.
Everyone thinks it's an alley-oop. It was not. Everyone thinks Dwayne Wade threw it up like this. And no, dude. No.
Also,
it would be better. Yeah, I do like that pose. I do that sometimes myself.
So good. So good.
All right. Is there anything, we don't really have any questions in the chat. Is there anything?
Did we answer the Bengals guy? What was there?
Oh, there wasn't a question.
Oh, there wasn't
a question or anything like that. I was just giving T. Higgins, the GOAT, a shout out because T. Higgins built different. But
T. Higgins might have been the GOAT if they didn't draft Chase and would have drafted an offensive lineman like they should have.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't try to get Penny Sewell. I feel like that would have been
it made the most sense.
Yeah.
Here's a great question. This one's from General Baum saying, which Raven could play in the NBA?
Ooh.
That's a great question. That's a fun question. Let's try and think. Who's the most athletic? You gotta have size.
Owe. Adafe Owe.
Adafe Owe, yes. Yeah. Owe could absolutely play.
Yeah. Oh,
I think.
I see Miles Garrett.
Miles Garrett is banned.
Miles Garrett can hoop.
Miles Garrett.
I figured. I thought you always pick the tight end. Isn't the tight end always the guy who he was a tight end and now he plays power forward? That's always or he's a tight end who used to be a power forward.
Marlon was in a celebrity basketball game a while back and got comparisons to Patrick Beverly. As that's how he played defense in the celebrity basketball game came out, which is how he plays corner as well. Tyus Bowser did play basketball as well. The Ravens at tight end, don't really have any basketball players, but they got edge rushers.
You should do this. CBS Sports sent this out, and I just put it. I haven't posted it yet, but they said make a starting five out of your football team. So I got my Bears starting five. You guys should do that and send it to them. It's I think they posted it yesterday.
That's so good.
All right, let's go for it. The Ravens starting five basketball team.
Here, while you think about it, you guys think about it. Sorry to all the Ravens fans, just because I have mine handy. So for the Bears, I got Tariq Cohen at point guard.
Okay,
right, makes sense. Speedy little point guard. Justin Fields, who played a little ball, he's my shooting guard. He's quite the shooter. Khalil Mack as my small forward, my bruiser. Jimmy, and this is why I said tight end, right? Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham was a player.
Jimmy Graham power forward. and then 6'7" Cole Kmet as my center. Like I got size, I got ball handling, I got speed. I'm good.
Yeah,
it's a good front court.
All right.
The problem is that I think that was my tallest player was 6'7" Jimmy Graham, so I might have trouble.
Okay, so let's look at the Ravens. So so we've seen the Lamar Jackson Dick's Sporting Goods basketball game that he played. Supposedly he beat Hollywood in the Dick's Sporting Goods shoot-around basketball game that they played. So I think Lamar's got to be on the team somewhere. I know Lamar's probably like Kyrie Irving when he plays basketball. He's just shifting his feet everywhere. He's going everywhere. He's probably a really fun basketball player to watch. So I think Lamar could play shooting guard. He's about 6'3", I think. I think that's good size. I think center has to be Villanueva just because he's 6'8". Or we could go Calais, who's also 6'8".
Calais Campbell. Yeah.
I feel like Calais Campbell would be the better center.
Is Marquise point guard or is it Dobbins? Is Hollywood?
Oh, Dobbins. No, I think Duvernay could be a nasty slashing point guard. Very physical, run through people. I think Dobbins is a good point guard option, and we could go Adafe at power forward or small forward, or we go Adafe at power forward, Tyus Bowser at small forward.
Undefeated.
I mean, I don't know if any team is scoring on
maybe
us.
in the NFL league.
I probably would have put Ben Cleveland.
Put them on the
Oh,
low.
Ben Cleveland, yes.
At the five.
Ben Cleveland is the sixth man, but it's just gonna come in to just you go up against LeBron and you're like, all right, Ben Cleveland, I'm gonna need you to just like hit LeBron real quick for us. You know,
I didn't.
We're gonna take him out of the game.
I didn't even think of a sixth man. Obviously, we bring in Nick Foles as the sixth man, right? That's his career.
We got Trace McSorley as the sixth man as well. I feel like
No, but it's not a TikTok. It's a basketball game.
Trace is a beast in the NFL field, so I think it's
I don't know. I think
the
the first time I ever heard about him, I was a guest on a live TikTok, and we were talking about actual people who play, and they were like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" I'm like, "Who the hell is that?" I didn't even know who it was at first. I'm like, "Who is that?" It's Trace. I looked him up, like third string quarterback. I'm like, "Get out of here!"
Trace McSorley would be a monster basketball player. I guarantee he's probably a great sharpshooter. He went to Penn State. He's probably just pulling up, number 9, watch him throw that deep shot. Got to rearrange the TikTok song a little bit for Trace McSorley, but I don't know, maybe Tyler Huntley would be another guy that could come out. I don't know. There's a lot of guys that, would be interesting players. I know we have the tight end out of Virginia who's 6'8" or 6'7". Tommy,
what's going on?
Tolian, something like that. Former quarterback turned tight end. May have played basketball as well.
You guys have a tall team. When I was scrolling through our roster, we had one guy, like I said, at 6'7", a couple of 6'6", and then like it's funny. I see these guys and I'm thinking, wow, they're huge. Like, okay, obviously the proportions are different, but I when I see Khalil Mack, I'm like, that dude's a beast. And then I was like looking at them, like I said, to put together a basketball roster. I'm like 6'3", 260. I'm 6'3", 260.
He's Westbrook out there.
I'm 6'3", 260, and I'm like, I look nothing like Khalil Mack. If I took all the midsection stuff and pulled it up here, maybe, but no comparison.
Oh man.
Let's see here. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of guys on the Ravens that could just, I don't know. I feel like Brandon Williams would just be like Spice Adams playing basketball, and he'd be absolutely terrible.
It would be like Escalade, but Escalade was kind of good. Do you guys remember N1? Did you guys ever watch that?
Oh, yeah.
Escalade, just huge. We could drill the three.
I don't think Brandon Williams is a three-point shooter. I gotta say, I feel like
he would have so much fun. though. He would have so much.
Oh, Brandon Williams would be absolutely he would just be dancing around everybody. I mean, I think he'd be exactly like Spice Adams, or maybe DJ Khaled, which would be the worst basketball comparison that you could make. But let's see. If somebody asks one more question, we can probably talk about that. If not, we can definitely wrap it up.
All right.
You're just asking about one guy's asking about always sack number or what are the
Okay.
projections for his sack numbers.
There we go.
Yeah.
The problem is, in terms of sacks that he earns on his skill, probably one. However, there will be a lot of situations where he comes in unblocked because Wink Martindale sends 8, and Adafe Owe is going to be, in many games, he's going to be the fastest player on the field, and he'll be able to get that quick step in and just get a quick sack. I think 6 is, I don't know. I think 6 to 8 would be pretty realistic. However, it won't be like a dominant 8 sack season. It'll be like, oh, he had just a couple games where they went against a slow tackle and he just got by him because he's way too fast for everybody. But I think 6 to 8 would be kind of my thing.
This is my kind of concern. I am hoping that's the case. What did he say about like I'd rather have corners that cover because I can get anyone to the quarterback.
Yep.
No one called him out. That's not true because that did not happen last year. He could not get any pressure to the quarterback. I'm worried that like our D-line is now a little bit older. Metabuke, am I pronouncing that right?
I believe it's Matabike, but
Matabike?
He was playing well towards the end, but I'm just worried that I still don't think we got enough pressure on the line, or I'm hoping to get the edge in. I don't know. I just hate that, like you said in a prior post, that we always have to do these crazy things in order to get to the quarterback and no one can do it by themselves. I think that is and that's where, sucks. And like,
it's a real issue.
Yeah. And our linebackers too. Like, I feel like it's like we're the Forrest Gump. You don't know what kind of linebackers we're going to get until that game is played. And
yeah, I think when you look at the sack projections, I just think that for Owe, we definitely need him to be a type of guy that obviously he's going to have some growing pains early in the season, and of course we do play Kansas City week 2. So I don't think much is going to change in terms of these blitz concepts and what type of stuff Wink throws at Bieniemy and Andy Reid. But regardless, if he's going to be blitzing all night long and throwing all sorts of things at Mahomes, I don't think Mahomes is going to have any trouble with that. We saw what happened last game we played against them. But I do think that if we don't send as many guys and Owe gets on that field, he could do some damage later on in the season. I'm just really looking forward to that Kansas City game because I want to see what happens in the trenches. I want to see what the Ravens are doing with their edge rushers against those tackles, particularly against Orlando Brown, since we traded and, one of those draft picks that we got from Kansas City, we used to draft Adafe Owe. So it'll be interesting. I really am looking forward to seeing how he'll progress as a pass rusher, not just this season, but as the years go on. And hopefully we can get another pass rusher. But if I'm going to talk about sack numbers, I don't know about 6. I don't know about 6 because I feel like he's going to be in the rotation a lot with other guys, with McPhee and Bowser and so on and so forth. So I feel like it's just going to be a year where they're just going to try to get into the thick of things, and we'll need to see what happens. But I don't think we're going to see much of a change as far as like these blitz concepts and stuff like that. And you talked about it too, Stephen, the linebackers. When we play against these tight ends, these versatile tight ends like Kelsey and Wall and stuff like that, I feel like we're gonna get a taste of what we could be seeing week 1 because we're gonna be playing the Raiders and they have Waller. So if he gives us trouble, then we probably could expect something similar to that the very next week.
But like that's the thing. Like, I feel like people aren't talking about, like, I know a lot of people are talking about edge rushing, but I'm really concerned with our linebackers. I feel like I get it. Bowser's cool. I'm like all for the guys, but like I feel like it's not being discussed, and I feel like we do not have great coverage. Linebackers are just great. Linebackers in general, and Queen, I feel like, is great.
Queen struggles.
And then it's like you don't know what kind of Queen you're going to get until the game is played. And then it's always, I don't know. I'm concerned. Help me.
Yeah. Queen, unfortunately, I'm sorry, Ravens fans in the chat. I think Queen is by far the most overrated Raven on the roster. I think it's quite obvious. The amount of Ravens fans that I have seen saying he should have won Defensive Rookie of the Year is absolutely ridiculous. Tackles is the most overrated stat in all of football. The best linebacker is not the linebacker with the most tackles. It happens sometimes. Yes, sure. Ray Lewis led the league in tackles sometimes. But you look at who it's been in previous years. It's been, the guy, Blake Martinez has been a guy that's been top of the league in tackles consistently. Blake Martinez is not the best linebacker in the NFL. He is not even close to the best linebacker. Darius Leonard is a very solid linebacker. He's led the league in tackles. Is he the best? No, not at all. Not even really close. And Patrick Queen looks lost on the football field. He didn't have camp, so obviously he can absolutely improve. He didn't have camp. He was not seen as like a great coverage linebacker. He can definitely improve. But the Ravens pass coverage or pass defense, their two best pass defense coverage guys are Tyus Bowser and Dalen Hayes. And Dalen Hayes has never even played a snap in the NFL, but they drafted him because he can drop back and he can cover people. I do see somebody asked a great question. I think it's just kind of funny. It could be a good way to wrap it up unless we have more people asking questions. But if you guys ever have to leave, you can absolutely leave, if, it's taking too long and things like that. But we just typically go till nobody's asking any more questions. But this one says, any Ravens possibly having a chance in an Olympics or Olympic event? And on the Ravens, it's clearly one guy, in my opinion. It's the fastest guy on the team. It's Devin Duvernay. Yeah. Devin Duvernay is the fastest player on the team. He was an all-American level sprinter. I believe he ran a 10.2 in high school in the 100-meter dash. He is a bona fide sprinter. Yes, he ran like a 4.38 40-yard dash, but that's because he's a top speed guy. Lamar's top speed is not that high. Unfortunately, he's just got unbelievable quickness. He's at that top speed instantly. But in terms of overall, it's Tyreek Hill. It's definitely Tyreek Hill of any player in the NFL.
Tyreek Hill, and then you can't forget about Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert too. He's pretty quick.
Wait a minute, hold on. It's Marquise Goodwin. He won the silver medal in the hurdles.
Oh, did he?
Marquise Goodwin is an Olympian. I forgot about, other than Marquise Goodwin, who's already an Olympian because he's a terrible wide receiver. But, other than Goodwin, I think it's Tyreek. But Mostert, unbelievable speed. I wonder if there's any players that aren't sprinters. Like, could we get somebody that comes in as like, I just feel like
there's going to be a lineman. You should, I don't know who your linemen are, but look at your lineman who's going to be like a shot putter, right?
Ben Cleveland.
That's the thing that you're, is there one that can do that? You're probably looking at a shot putter because DK Metcalf, don't underestimate. Everyone kind of gave him a hard time. I think he finished second from last when he went out. He trained for like 5 minutes and he ran a 10.2 or like he ran a ridiculous number that you got to remember. If he trained 4 years, right? Is he going to win a medal? I don't know. But here's a massive dude who ran I think he was 8th, but ran like I said, a 10.2 or a 10.3 with 5 minutes of training. So there's a guy that if they put all their kind of time into training for it, there are guys that are fast enough. But not to say the easiest one, but the one I see more commonly is like a shot putter or like one of those guys because they're already big and strong. They're benching, they're doing that stuff. So Marquise Goodwin, I think actually came in, I want to say in the long jump as well. There's a long jump that so there's guys who
medaled though.
Yeah, there's guys who kind of tried. But
the money's just not.
I don't know about any Ravens. Yeah, no, it's an amateur sport. There's technically no money.
Yeah, unless you're somebody that's going to get a ton of endorsements. So unless you're like the best ever to do it, like a Usain Bolt or Simone Biles or Michael Phelps, you're not going to be making too much money participating in the Olympics. But the other side of it is we actually do see this every once in a while. It's not wildly uncommon, but there's about probably 250 people in the NFL that could medal in the Olympics as the runner in the bobsled. because they don't do anything. Or I don't know the formation of the bobsled team, but basically the person at the back that pushes at the beginning does absolutely nothing in the bobsled. They're there because they're strong. Everybody else does all the leaning and they do the technical stuff. But that's how there was a woman at the most recent Winter Olympics, and I believe I don't remember if she did medal, but she was the first person with a chance to become the only person ever with a medal in a Winter and Summer Olympics. And Winter was because she was the pusher in the bobsled. Because she was just the most athletic person from their country or whatever. I don't remember what country she was from.
I think it was more common if you go back. Like I think Willie Gault, who's an old wide receiver for the Bears, he was a sprinter and a bobsledder. Herschel Walker did bobsled. But it's also because if you go back, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, right, these guys didn't train all year round. So it was easier for a professional athlete who had the facilities and the ability to train to kind of switch over into the offseason because they were already in shape. Now you have Olympians, right? Like I had Donovan Bailey, who's a 100-meter gold medalist on my show a while back. And he's like, now they train all year round, for whatever, because there's meet. It's not just the Olympics, right? There's meets every so often. And so now they're better. That's why you see the 100-meter, the 100-meter times coming down. So it's going to be a lot harder for someone, like even a Tariq Hill who just to come off the street and beat them. They're going to lose. But if they were to train the way they did, yeah, maybe. It's different, it's different muscles, right? Like Tariq Hill has to learn how to not just go fast, but how to change his speed and then cut, right? Whereas if you're sprinting, you're just going straight. You're in a straight line, obviously. And I remember I'll use myself as an example, right? Like I played really high level basketball. And one summer I decided, I don't know, I guess I was trying to be Michael Jordan. I was going to play baseball. And so in the offseason, I started playing baseball. And the first time I pushed off to steal, I pushed off, I slid into second, I was safe, and I never walked again for about a month, right? Like I pulled something like a quad, like something, a hamstring, because it was a completely different motion that I would never push off like that playing basketball. So although I was in shape, I wasn't in baseball shape, right? And it's, again, not to use Jordan, but that's why, remember when he came back at the tail end of the season, right? I know. But when he came back from playing baseball, right, he played 17 games. He wasn't in basketball shape. Each one of these things has, right, sprinting, basketball, football, it's different muscles that you, so that you have to be in that sports shape because it's different.
Yeah.
Which goes to show how absolutely crazy Bo Jackson was.
Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, right? Deion Sanders played a football game and a playoff baseball game in the same day.
Yeah.
In the same day, dude.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
That's why I say that's the exception, right? Everyone uses those guys as examples. Those aren't examples. Those are the exception to the rule because, no one, people say, back in the old days, right? Back in the old days, Nolan Ryan used to pitch 9 innings. Yeah, it's not like everybody did that then. He's just the exception to the rule because he's in Herschel Walker never lifted a weight. All he did was push-ups and sit-ups. And then he went to the NFL and he lifted more weight than anybody else. He's the abnormal exception, crazy athlete to the rule.
Yeah, there's just so many guys where it's like, oh yeah, these guys are just freak athletes and they could really do whatever they want. And especially you see a lot of the time you see guys and they get to choose when they're in college. Do you want to be a professional football or professional baseball player? The smarter route for most people is football if they're really good, just because it's easier to make the money. Baseball, there's always the risk of, getting in. Once you get drafted, you got to get into the majors and things like that. But guys like Kyler, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, all drafted to be pitchers. Now Kyler was a first-round pick. I think he was taken 6th or 7th overall, absolutely ridiculous. But all these guys are drafted. And whether or not they choose to do it.
To your point, Kyler Murray, right? Wasn't it 720,000 was his for being drafted first round? That would have been his signing bonus, and it was however many
to the A's.
Yeah, and then it was however many million to come into the NFL. Yeah, I'm taking the sure money too.
Exactly.
But you could also be like Tim Tebow and be able to play every sport.
Sure, and
every position,
every position, and all you do is win.
Yes.
Hey, listen. So I got to run, but can I ask a question for both of you guys?
Go for it. Yes.
All right. So it's actually 2 questions, and you can't pick the Ravens.
Mhm.
Okay, so one's a football, one's a basketball question because we've been bouncing back and forth. So super early prediction. You can't choose your own team. Who's in the Super Bowl, and who's in the NBA final?
Okay.
For the
I'm gonna be
Super Bowl-
lying in my Super Bowl answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pick
For
who
the
are the
Super
Ravens.
Bowl-
So for your money, you have to pick the team that you think the Ravens are going to beat in the AFC Championship game, I guess, because you can't pick your own team.
I would have to go Kansas City in the AFC, and then the NFC. I'd probably go with, if not Tampa Bay, the Rams.
That was going to be my pick. What the heck? my answer. I was I'm going to go super underdog. Nobody's got Rams.
You got to go solid because he kind of was wishy-washy. So you're going Chiefs, Rams?
Chiefs, Rams. If Matthew Stafford can stay healthy all season, Chiefs, Rams.
Chiefs, Niners.
That was my backup answer. Okay. Well, I really like and I don't think the Rams will even be I think the Rams will probably be a wild card team, but I just think that even the Niners may even be a wild card team, but I think they could absolutely make it to the Super Bowl. But I'm going to go with a different answer. Now I got to think even more. And I would have said the Packers. However, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire and he's not going to play for the Packers anymore.
Yeah, just so you know, Adam Rank was on the show 2-3 weeks ago, and we made a deal. We're actually going to pack up because he's also a Bears fan. We're going to actually pack up Aaron Rodgers and move him to Denver. Just so you know, we're renting the moving van, and we're taking him out of the NFC North so that we have a chance at winning it.
But I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they're still definitely the top dog. I don't think the Bills or the Browns are there yet. But in the NFC, looking at it, I can't go with an NFC West team. I don't think the Cardinals or Seahawks are that team. I don't think the Seahawks are that team anymore. I don't think the Cardinals are there yet. I'm going to go. Okay, I got to go with it. I got to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Jameis Winston. I got to do it.
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I know you're a big fan.
The New Orleans Saints.
Highest QBR in Super Bowl history.
Highest QBR in playoff history.
I got to do
Never
it.
thrown an incompletion against Tom Brady in the playoffs. Just absolutely ridiculous. I love their roster. I think Jameis is a significantly better quarterback than Drew Brees. At least Drew Brees has been the last couple of seasons. Obviously, prime Drew Brees may be better than Jameis. I'm not sold on that yet. I love Jameis. I got to roll with Jameis. However, I almost said the Panthers. I absolutely love the Panthers. I just think that they're a couple years away from being able to do it, but they're a definite sleeper.
So you got Saints and
Chiefs.
Saints and Chiefs.
Yeah.
All right, just because this is the only reason I'm going to pick a different team than the Chiefs, because I was actually saying Chiefs too. But just to be different, I'm going Bucks, Bills, and the poor Bills had to face Tom Brady twice a year for 18 years and then have to lose to him for their 5th Super Bowl loss in franchise history to Tom Brady again, just to drive the city of Buffalo crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right. Okay. NBA, I know Steve got to go too. So NBA Finals, any
this year or next year?
No, right now, this year.
Okay.
You're on the spot for this year because this is being recorded. We're gonna play it back in a couple of weeks.
I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going Mavs. Okay. And then I'm also going – I'm going to go Bucks. Mavs, Bucks.
Yeah, that's the second time I've heard that today, and I find it interesting because they're not making it out of the first round. Okay.
I'm going I said this like a month ago. I was going to pick the Lakers, but they let me down. So I'm going to have to go with the Clippers and the Nets. I think the Nets are going to go to the NBA Finals. I've had this since the beginning of the season, even before they got James Harden. And then I think the Clippers, I think they're going to win Sunday's Game 7. And then whoever they face, if Utah, I don't think Utah has I don't think they really have what it takes to beat the Clippers. I know it kind of sounds crazy because they're the number 1 seed, but I think the Clippers have seen better from Luka. I think Luka's just a more overall dominant player than Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert. I know they have a deep roster, but I'm I think the Clippers, if they can win this series, they'll feel more confident about going against any other team in the West, and I think that goes to the finals.
See, I gotta go with the best point guard we've ever seen, Chris Paul. I'm just kidding. That was just for you, Anthony. I'm just kidding. I'm going with the Lakers. I'm sorry.
Lakers.
I guess they were eliminated. I'm sorry. I just completely forgot how horrible they are. Sorry, 2 shots at Anthony right there. But I think I'm going to go with the Jazz.
Well, we know who it's definitely not going to be. It's going to be the Thunder because they can't make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, because they've got the next 30 years locked up. That's why.
Salary cap and draft picks. That always goes.
We don't even play 4D chess. We play bocce ball. But I think if I could guarantee the Clippers were making it out of the first round, I would say Clippers. I can't guarantee that, so I'm going with the Jazz. And then I'm going to have them facing the Sixers. And I really hope Embiid is healthy. But the Sixers were my sleeper team before the season started. I'm still riding them with the playoffs. Even though I want the Hawks to win, I love Trae Young. I just really like what the Sixers have going on. And they have significantly improved their coaching. They got 4 guys on the floor at all times that can score. They got good passing. They got good defense, especially at the perimeter. So I like the Sixers as long as Embiid can stay healthy. So Sixers, Jazz is my match.
Well, I'm going to stick. I got to stick, right? I don't want to change. So obviously I had the Lakers because I always pick the Lakers. They could go 20-62. I'm still picking them. But when I eliminate them, right, I had them facing the Clippers. And the Clippers and Mavs they broke the record already, right? It's the first time ever in an NBA playoff series where the six times in a row the road team won. So they've got the record. It doesn't happen again. So the Clippers come out of there alive, and it's Clippers Bucks. I don't trust the Nets. I don't trust the Nets. I think someone's going to get hurt, right? So I think Holiday can do enough. Harden makes that team go, right? As crazy offensively as they are, they've got 0 defense, and if you can disrupt Harden, which I think he can, they have a chance. I don't trust them. And since I had the Lakers beating the Clippers, I'll just stick with the team. I'm going to stick with the Clippers. Now, they lose Game 7. I'm going to have to recant that and come back. I'm with you. I don't think the Jazz. There's something about the Jazz that I don't know. Like
I heard a great comparison.
Record, right? They have the best record. They look really good. They got the shot blocker. They've got a guard. It's a good combo with Gobert and now I'm going to draw a blank on what's his name. Donovan Mitchell. And it's just like, but I don't know. Something about them that I can't. A
comparison you may hate that I heard from somebody in the Undrafted Sports Network. His name is Maddox. He basically said that the Jazz remind him of the 2014 Spurs, is what he reminded. And he sees that as they could be that type of team that wins the championship. I do like it. That's why I see them. However, if I knew the Clippers 100% right now were making it out, I would go with them because I, like very few others, believe in Paul George. I believe in playoff P.
At some point, listen, the Clippers still have, if not the best, I'm not including the Nets, like top to bottom, they're still the most talented roster. They should win, right? They should win, but it goes to show you how important chemistry and coaching are, and they don't have either one of those two things. And that's what hurts them. And to your Jazz point, I would love for it to be the Jazz. I think no one talks about the Jazz. We all underestimate the Jazz. Right, we always say the best player on the best team is in the MVP conversation, and for the Jazz, they're not. Right, no one talks about Mitchell or Gobert in that conversation. Not that you put Gobert in that conversation, but it's always kind of the best player from the best team. They were the best team, and so they get completely underappreciated. We disrespect them. So I'd like, as much as I'm not picking them, I'm one of the guys underestimating them. I'd love to see the Jazz make it and even win. Now that I don't have a rooting interest, right? I'd love to see them go all the way.
And as a Jazz fan, or as a Jordan fan, what you could say? Be like, LeBron couldn't stop the Jazz from winning a championship.
That's right. Good. Jordan stopped them twice. I also have selfish reasons, right? My wife is a Jazz fan, so I'd like her to understand what it's like to win a ring.
Incredible.
Hey,
You're so nice.
yeah, she never got one on her wedding day. She should get one now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm kidding. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful ring. It's a beautiful ring.
You guys.
All right, guys.
All right. See you later, Anthony.
See you guys.
I see you, man.
Pleasure meeting you guys.
Grams. That's good for grams.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I think, we could go a few more minutes. If people are still asking questions, we can absolutely still keep going. But whether or not, here we go. I can add in the nice little brand. Look at that.
Oh, that's cool.
We can keep going and we can talk about that. But if nobody has any more questions, we can wrap it up. It just depends on, if we get a question in the next, I don't know, couple of minutes. We can wait, see if people ask anything. We got about 23 people in the
one person asked about Dalen Hayes. He said, do you think he'll start by the middle of the season? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What do you think?
I think, look, I haven't really been able to take a look at Dalen Hayes and his film from Notre Dame. There are some intangibles that, some of the draft experts have been talking about as far as what he can do for this style of defense. I think just based off of the current personnel we have at outside linebacker, I wouldn't, pull it out of the realm of possibility. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't say that he absolutely couldn't do it. I think it's possible. I think that there is a chance he could start by the middle of the season, probably opposite of OA. Obviously, if you look at the current depth of our outside linebacker room, consists of Pernell McPhee, who, had injuries, season before, and we're going to be getting it back. But, getting up there in age, he's going to be in the rotation, so he's going to be in there with some younger guys. Jalen Ferguson kind of hasn't really been the player we wanted him to be. And then, of course, there's Oweh right there. And Dalen Hayes can fit right in there. He can be that guy that really nobody's talking about. I think when you look at the rookies, a lot of the rookies that we're really not talking about, Dalen Hayes is one of them. Ben Mason, who else? Brandon Stevens. I really like Brandon Stevens too. So I think Dalen Hayes definitely has some potential. And I feel like just because he's going to try to take that opportunity, it's a very thin outside linebacker group. So if he can go in there and he can produce and he can try to be versatile, like you said earlier, kind of be like a Tyus Bowser and do certain things in the defense that Martindale wants him to do, he definitely has a chance of starting. So I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Yeah, I think he is a guy that I'm a massive fan of. I love that draft pick. However, I don't see him becoming a starter. I see him getting a lot of reps because I have always seen him as an exact, really replica of Tyus Bowser. And I feel like the Ravens, after extending Bowser, they really want him on the field. And I don't think that they're going to bench him after getting that extension. However, I think he'll see significant snaps midway through the season. Because he's just playing. He's just unfortunately going to be behind Bowser, in my opinion. Now, I would love for him to take over the job because I want him to take over the mic and be that leader that he was at Notre Dame. It's just for me, Tyus Bowser kind of being that guy. It'll be tough, but he could play it a lot, especially in games against good tight ends. If we're going against the Chiefs or if we're going against even heck the Browns or something like that, where they like to throw to the tight ends, throwing him in could absolutely be something that the Ravens do to try and stop good tight ends. But I see another question. This one's from General Baum asking, out of the Ravens' top 3 wide receivers, what are your projected stats for them? Do we think Bateman really takes over as wide receiver 1 midseason, or do we think Watkins and Bateman are good contributors, but that lets Hollywood free? For me, absolutely Hollywood is wide receiver 1. I think Hollywood puts up probably similar to what he's done in recent years. 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's really what he's put up. That's a little bit better. It's a little bit of improvement. I think Watkins probably puts up like 500 yards and maybe 4 touchdowns. I just don't think that he's going to get
I was thinking around the same thing.
And then Bateman probably around really similar to Hollywood, probably about 707. Because that's about right there. That's about 2,200 yards from the top 3 wide receivers, or 2,000 yards from the top wide receivers. Then you add in, a couple hundred yards from the lower guys, add in, maybe 1,000 from the tight ends. It's about, that's about 3,200, 3,300 passing yards, which I think is where Lamar will be at, which isn't a knock at Lamar. We just run the ball a lot. But that's what I got.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. Look, I think this will be a great year for Hollywood Brown, just because there's a lot of pressure that's going to be taken off of him. I feel like we can even see differences as far as where he'll be placed. Will he be placed a lot more in the slot because we have bigger receivers? We got bigger guys now. Rashad Bateman has a bigger frame. Sammy Watkins has more experience outside than it's just as far as production and how he can produce better outside than I think Marquise Brown is. I think Marquise Brown can be utilized a lot more at the NFL level inside the slot, especially for his size and what he can do. And I feel like that'll also be a good opportunity for him to improve in terms of yards after catch. So, look, I think Marquise Brown is definitely, I think, right now the best receiver on the team. I do think if we look at the yardage, he'll probably get somewhere around maybe 800, closer towards 800 yards. I'll say Rashad Bateman will probably get somewhere closer towards 750. I feel like he's going to get a lot more targets too than Sammy Watkins. And Sammy Watkins, I still got to see if Sammy Watkins can play a full season healthy. So and also don't sleep on Tylan Wallace too. I think Tylan Wallace and Sammy Watkins are probably going to have that same type of role. Tylan Wallace might get some bump too. I think he'll probably have a season where he'll probably get somewhere between 400, maybe 500 yards, but probably 400. We do have to remember Sammy Watkins is on a 1-year deal, so we'll see what happens with Tylan Wallace and some of these other guys if they get in the rotation. We'll see. I'll be paying a close attention to Sammy Watkins this season. But for sure right now, I agree with you. Hollywood Brown's wide receiver 1. I just feel like he's not going to be placed on the outside and having all these different crazy route concepts that Greg Roman was doing that were just stale and awkward. So.
All right. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I feel like this is a good spot to wrap up. I want to thank everybody from the stream for really asking some great questions. We had a lot of fun conversations. But I feel like that's pretty much it. Do you want to say anything? Give a shout out to your channel and things like that, so people can definitely go check out your stuff as well.
Yeah. First off, I just want to thank you for having me on the show. You guys, you're really doing great stuff with this channel. Been paying attention for quite some time now. I know you started just recently, so keep continuing to grind, and it's only going to go up from here. I do want to apologize for the Wi-Fi issues at first. I was streaming off my phone.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, and then I'm on my laptop now. I don't know why I didn't do that at first, but man, this is actually my first time streaming with somebody else for the channel. So I guess now I know to use the laptop in the future. But no, if you guys didn't already know, I said it in the beginning, I'll say it right now. You guys can follow me. I have a channel called The Flock Block. Similar, just always talking about Ravens info, Ravens news, stuff like that. If you guys are big Ravens fans or even AFC North fans, you guys Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Patriots, Chiefs, whatever team you like, we can talk about it on this channel. You guys can leave me questions on Instagram at The Flock Block. You guys can leave me questions on Twitter at The Flock Block. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I know that we kind of joke around and stuff like that as far as the teams and whatnot, but, I welcome all fans. I love football, and I just love the respectful banter as far as, who we think is going to go to the Super Bowl. Everybody every year always says, we're going to the Super Bowl. Maybe not Jags fans or something like that, or Lions fans, but the other 30 teams in the NFL always thinks they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But no, in all seriousness, thank you for letting me on the show. If you guys get a chance to follow and show the support, I really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the third ever TTB Live with the viewers. Thank you, everybody in the stream. Thank you to all the guests. Obviously, a lot of them aren't here anymore. But make sure to go check out The Flock Block. And I will see all of you again tomorrow on Sunday talking Ravens news.